Welcome to the Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church, and my name is Donna McCartney. I'm honored to be your worship associate today. So I'm joined in welcoming you this morning by Reverend Sian Wiltshire. She's here, of course, and who is our minister, and Karen Magoon-Pearson, our Director of Religious Education, and for Children and Youth, and Susan, Shaw, and Amy Tompkins, who are our fabulous musical leaders today. So we'd like to recognize the many volunteers that have helped to put this service together for us today. We also respectfully recognize that our church property rests on Ahashimen and Tongva land. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many different beliefs, but we are one loving community. We're bound together not by a common set of rules or beliefs, but rather by a covenant. A covenant is simply a promise that whatever our beliefs, we accept one another and encourage each other in spiritual growth. We affirm that all life has inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. We strive for justice and compassion in our deeds and relationships. We are committed to creating a welcoming community without regard to traits that sometimes divide people. To our roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. For our Zoomers, hi Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. So I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you're seeking a spiritual home, we hope you will find it here. Later in the service, if we will have an opportunity for you to introduce yourself if you'd like to do so. So let our worship begin with the lighting of our chalice. In a minute, I'm going to invite Kathleen McFarland up here to light our chalice. But first, let me tell you a few things about her. So she joined our church over 20 years ago, and she is a native Californian. Kathleen has worked for over 40 years with folks having developmental disabilities. And she's lived in various parts of the country, but she now is finally home. So Kathleen, come on up. Let's say our unison affirmation together, if I can spit it out here, kids. Ready? Love is the spirit of our church, and service is its law. Dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. This we affirm together. Thank you, Kathleen. Appreciate it. She's one of our faithful ushers and does many other tasks for our congregation, so thank you. So please join us in singing our opening song.
Please rise and embody your spirit. You guys know this one. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you, Susan.
Of course, I want the truth. But here's the rub. Truth doesn't sit around still as a rock. It breathes and flows and turns inside out. Ever see a lion in a cage? He paces and glowers. That must be how God feels locked in our little religions. Look how big the sky is, the deep distance between the stars. How could we contain the truth, all that overwhelming light? Our truth is just a pinprick in mystery's velvet curtain. But even so, see how we struggle to fix an eyeball to that peep show's tiny window.
I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. My ears are wide open. My eyes are now open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. In this moment of Spirit, speak to me. I can hear the voices of all my kind. I'm listening, singing. I am listening, this tweeting and howling into the wind. My ears are wide open, oh, the joy. My eyes are wide open, love to see what I for you and me. Oh, I'm listening in this moment of silence. I am listening. I hear Spirit speak through me.
I'm listening, and I'm not the only one. This morning, I'd like to invite you in our Time for All Ages to introduce you to a very special team in this congregation. They're the Pastoral Care Associates, and I want to invite them to come forward and stand here with me. The first is Lori Kluge. There's Bertie Reed. Marilyn Giss is our congregational nurse. Now, Judith Stamper couldn't be with us today, but most of you know Judith. But we have a new member as well, and that is Dawn Martin has joined our team. So I want all these wonderful people to come up here. You know, have you ever had that feeling in your life that someone's talking about you? Or maybe you feel that maybe there's a love that's holding you? It might be true. You see, my pastoral care associates and I, we talk about people in this church all the time. Actually, what we do is we worry about you all. Sometimes we're very happy for you. Hey, did you hear? But most of the time we're worrying about you. We, you know, if you're having a hard time, maybe it's with work or family or your health, all those types of worries. We want you to know that we're there with you, and we're talking and thinking about you and sending you love. See how maybe there's a way that we can help you. So every time you get that email or a call or a card or a visit from one of these wonderful people here, it's because we've talked about you and we're worried about you, or we're celebrating with you in some shape or form. We're sending you love. Really what we're doing is we're holding you in love. So these pastoral care associates are the official church warriors and celebrators, people holding you in love. Because sometimes we just need a little bit of extra help, right? Maybe we need a ride or a meal, and they'll organize that for you. Maybe you need someone to talk to because you're lonely or you're anxious or you're upset. You're going through life transitions, and in fact, Marilyn and Lori here, they have once a month, they have a whole group that can gather to talk about these life transitions. You know, this can be a really tough time of year, and I just want you all to know that these wonderful people are here for you to talk to. Now, you might be thinking, but wait a minute, Sean, isn't that your job? And yes, it is. But you see, with 140 to 150 people to look after and worry about, I can't do it alone. So these wonderful people are extensions of me, as it were. So like I said, when you get a call or a card or an email or a visit, it's because we've talked about you, and I'm like, can you please check in on them? I've actually been thinking about you. Please know that. I just simply can't do it all. This is a shared ministry that we have here in this congregation, and these wonderful people are part of that extension of my ministry. They're chosen specifically, in fact, by me as people that are trustworthy, who are good listeners, who people have skills and big hearts, big warm hearts to reach out to. So there's a couple things I also want you to know is that you can come and talk to me. Don't think that you can't. Okay, I tend to get involved, particularly when there's a big crisis involved, but it's okay to come and just talk to me when you need to talk to me. That's perfectly fine. I'm here for you too. It's just that these wonderful people are here for you as well. Sometimes may not be as available as others. The other thing to know is that when we talk, it's held confidentially. Nothing leaves the room when we're talking together or in the emails that we send to one another. It's all confidential. Now, the other thing is that they don't keep any secrets from me, okay? That's for their safety as well as yours. They tell me what's going on. If you're like having problems at work, they might just say, oh, they're having problems at work. They may not give me all the details, but they might just let me know. However, I will say that I will at times keep secrets from them. So if you have something that you're particularly difficult, you've never told a soul about, I've had that happen. People come and talk to me, never told a single soul, I'm not ready to make it more public. I will hold that confidentially. So you just have to let me know and I will ask you. So partly also because I know like Marilyn and I, we're mandated reporters. Lori might be, she's a former social worker, so you know. Marilyn is a nurse, so she's our congregational nurse as well. But it's also for their safety as well to make sure everything. So here's the thing. One of the things that I love about this congregation is that like as much as I have this wonderful team, I know that you guys check in with one another as well. And you send me emails and say, hey, did you know this? Thank you. I really appreciate it. I don't mind if I've heard it 5 times from people, right? Simply tell me, hey, this person's going through this rough time, and then we'll deal with it as a team. We'll help you as best we can. So, but I also love, I mean, don't you like it when you get like an email from somebody you didn't expect, or, you know, you get a phone call from that old friend, hey, just thinking about you? So you can do that too to other people. People here in this church or just people that you know out there, spreading that love, holding that love, right, for them. Because don't we all want to feel like we're being held in love? So that's our time for all ages today. Thank you very much to my wonderful team. They're awesome. So thank you all. I'm going to invite Karen Magoon-Pearson up here to light the children's chalice, and then we'll sing the children as they scramble out to their religious education classes.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life, we hold you in our love
So Reverend Sean would like me to share with you a lovely Christmas story called The Christmas Miracle by Cindy Haval. Snow falls as I write this, and the white-shrouded world reminds me of another December, 18 years ago, when I received a much-needed reminder of the miracle of Christmas. Our fourth son had arrived 3 months earlier. Sam was born with a congenital diaphragmatic hernia, a CDH. A hole had formed in his diaphragm during gestation, allowing his stomach and intestines to move into his chest cavity, crowding his heart and lungs. In Sam's case, this prevented his left lung from developing. When he was 3 days old, he underwent surgery to repair the hole in his diaphragm. After a 3-week stay in the neonatal intensive care unit at Sacred Heart, we brought him home. He needed no medication or supplemental oxygen. He nursed enthusiastically, and he had none of the dreaded complications or additional health problems that are common with CDH. He also only had one lung. He did have bits of tissue where his left lung would have grown, and doctors told us that the lungs continue to grow into a child's early teens. Even if that did not happen for Sam, we were assured this possible to live with one lung. But I worried. Night after night, I sat vigil on the floor next to his cradle, watching his chest rise and fall, counting his respiration rate. After dozing off with my hand on his chest sometimes, exhausted, I did my best to care for his 3 older brothers, ages 10, 8, and 5. When December dawned, I decorated and I baked in a fog of fatigue. We reached a milestone on December the 23rd, Sam's final post-op visit. Snow fell heavily as I packaged a plate of Christmas cookies for the surgeon's office. Each visit began with a series of chest x-rays, and I'd gotten good at deciphering the shadowy shapes in my son's chest cavity. Dr. Holland moved his stethoscope over Sam's chest, listening intently, while my baby grabbed his hair and blew spit bubbles. Scratching his head, Dr. Holland stood, then once again bent over Sam, listening, and then listening some more. Then he tickled Sam's 3 chins and turned to scrutinize the latest x-rays while I wrestled the baby back into his winter layers and waited for the surgeon to speak. But he didn't say a word. Instead, he let out a low whistle, peering at the images. Running his fingers through his hair, he whistled again, and he said, "Cindy, I'd like you to take a look at these." My heart sank. This was it, the moment I dreaded since the hours following Sam's diagnosis. The moment when I'd learned the nightmare hadn't ended. The other shoe had dropped, and I didn't know if I could bear it. Seeing my stricken face, Dr. Holland beckoned me closer. "What's that?" he asked, pointing to the image. "That's Sam's right lung," I answered. He nodded and pointed to the other side of the image. "And what's that?" "That's Sam's left lung," I replied dutifully. Silence. Apparently, a lack of sleep was making me hallucinate. "Except," I said, "he doesn't have a lung." "He didn't," Dr. Holland agreed, "but he does now." He traced the outline with his finger, a fully functioning left lung. And the surgeon beamed. I clutched Sam and I shrank down into the chair, tears falling and dampening his downy blonde hair like melting snowflakes. "I don't understand. Is this a miracle?" I asked him. Still smiling, Dr. Holland shrugged. "Well, we don't like to use that word, but I've honestly never seen anything like this before." Dazed, I left his office, trying to process this news. That night, as usual, I sat at Sam's cradle, feeling his lungs expand, watching my hand on his chest rise and fall. The clock ticked its way to Christmas Eve, and I finally climbed into bed, where, for the first time since his birth, I slept. I truly slept. Today, at some point, My 6'1" baby boy will bend down and wrap his arms around me. I'll lay my head on his chest and feel it rise and fall, grateful for the reminder. Christmas has always been about miracles.
So I'm gonna invite you, take a few deep breaths, and to think about, what do you think about this story? Is this a bona fide miracle? What do you think happened here? It's up for you to decide. Take just a few minutes. Think about that. And if it is a miracle, what does that mean? What does it mean? What exactly is a miracle? Because I believe sometimes it's helpful to express these things, I invite you to turn to someone near you. And if you're a Zoomer, you can write it in the chat if you'd like to share. Just turn to someone and, what are your thoughts on this story? Is it, it's a unique thing to happen? What do you think? Feel free. I'll bring you back here in a few minutes. If you ask a Unitarian Universalist to give an opinion, they will give it. So I just want to let you know, Linda C. on Zoom, she wrote in, she says, I think a miracle is a different way of seeing something, a way we hadn't thought of before. And Valerie A. says, although I don't believe in the supernatural, I think the natural is miraculous. Very cool. Well, here's another reading for you.
So the next reading is entitled The Mystic and the Scientist, and is attributed to Reverend Eric Walker Wilkstrom. One day, a religious man approached a mystic and he asked, does God exist? Allow me to go within for an answer, the mystic replied. After meditating for quite some time, expanding her heart consciousness to embrace the totality of existence, she answered, I do not know what you mean by the word God, but I do know that the world is more mysterious and more wonderful than I could ever imagine. I know that you and I are part of something much larger than our own lives. Perhaps this something larger is what you seek. Then the religious man approached a scientist. Does God exist? He asked. Let me think, replied the scientist. And so she thought about the vastness of the universe, 156 billion light years, or something like 936 billion trillion miles in diameter, and the almost immeasurable smallness of a quark. And she thought of how the energy of the Big Bang fuels the beating of her own heart. And then she answered, I do not know what you mean by the word God, but I do know that this world is more mysterious and more wonderful than I could ever imagine. I know that you are part of something much larger. We all are, much larger than our own lives. Perhaps this something larger is what you seek. The religious man then thought to himself. He thought of what he knows and what he does not know. He thought about how he knows what he knows, and he knows he doesn't know what he doesn't know. He thought about his experience of the world and how it is but one tiny infinitesimal fraction of all experience. He thought about his dependence on the forces larger than himself, and he thought about the interdependence of all existence. He experienced wonder and pondered mystery. And then he knew. He knew in his soul the truth of what the mystic and the scientist had said, that he is a part of something so much larger than his own life. And then, only then, did he think about what he'd call it.
What would you call it? I'm going to invite you on your own inward journey today. We're going to do a little guided meditation. So again, like before, let's take a few deep breaths. Maybe put your feet flat on the floor. Relax your shoulders. Breathe in. Another breath in. You're welcome to close or soften your eyes. I want you to feel now in your body the space around you, the chair that's under you, the floor under your feet, its strength upholding you. Maybe there's a person right next to you breathing in and out just as you are. Now I invite you in your mind's eye to imagine this room. Imagine the colors and textures and feel of this place, whether it feels warm or cool. So you imagine also all the people in this place, people seeking just like you. And as you breathe, I invite you to hold in love all the people that surround you. Yes, even those that annoy you. Hold them in love, send them love. Maybe you feel your heart expand a little bit as it takes in this room. Next, I invite you to imagine the wider community around this church. The buildings, the homes, the parks, the roads. Imagine the cars whizzing by down Adams and Harbor and Brookhurst. Cars whizzing filled with people on their way to various places. Some are happy and some are hurting. Most are somewhere in between. Imagine the area where you live, all your favorite places in Orange County, and the people you know in them. Your coworkers, your family, your friends. As you're holding this all in your mind's eye, I invite you to send your love out to them, to this whole area, this city you live in, to all of Orange County. Maybe your heart will expand a bit more. Widen your sense of place to encompass this nation, pulling back to look down upon this nation of ours with its forests and deserts and rivers, mountains, lakes, cities and towns and roadways and trainways. Feel the beauty of this nation, all the parks, state parks, national parks, city parks, the arts that astound us, holiday decorations. Imagine all the people there creating, living, becoming in this beautiful and sometimes flawed nation of ours. And then if you can, hold this nation in love, this place with people we sometimes don't understand, but we know share our humanity, who struggle with health and family and work and school and children. Send them love, hold them in love. Now we're going way out. Imagine the whole of our planet, the many people, languages, cultures, animals, plants, and fauna of our shared home. Run your imagination across the oceans and diverse lands and the generations of people and animals that have called this planet home for so long. And if your heart can expand that big, hold in love this amazing planet we live on and all the living beings that reside there. And of course, now we expand our minds out across the vastness of this galaxy with all of its planets and stars, reaching out further into the universe, into the mystery of what might dwell out there in that great vastness. There's our planet and our moon, our galaxy. We're just a tiny speck in that vastness. Let yourself feel the awe and the beauty and the mystery of the universe. And if you can, send your love out into that vastness to all of life. Hold it there, all that love. Do you feel that vastness reaching back with its own love to you? Because there's dozens of people in this room who are doing the same thing. Maybe what you're feeling is their love too. And carrying all that love in your heart, make your way back from the vastness of the universe down to this galaxy, to this planet. Slowly find yourself coming back to this nation, to Orange County, and then to this room. Take some deep breaths and rest in that love.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
From the mystical to the scientific. Do you guys know what these different pictures are? So in the upper left-hand corner there, and people in online, if you want to take a guess, you're welcome to try this too. So in the upper left-hand corner, your left, upper left-hand corner, what do you think that is? What? Neurons. Anybody else? Yes, that is actually 1 square millimeter, actually less than a millimeter, it's about a pinprick worth of the human brain, of the neurons in the human brain. All right, how about the one on the lower left? Do you know what that is? What is it? Actually, I think you're right, Maureen. What did you say? Yep. So this is mycelia, which, if you didn't know, this is the fungal network that is underground that helps trees talk to one another. All right. In the upper right, do you know what that is? It's what? It is, this is a very small fraction of the mapping of the dark and light energy of the universe. And the lower right, what is that? No. I'll say it's man-made. What did you say? No, a social network, kind of, very close. It's the World Wide Web. So someone actually mapped out that if you have one link on your website, it just takes 19 links to get to any other link in the world, any other website in the world. And this is the map that he came up with. It's kind of tripping me out when I see this, right? It's kind of wild, right? This interconnected web of all existence. This is our Unitarian Universalist 7th principle, right? And we tend to think of this, I don't know, in maybe a little bit more of an abstract way, but it's not abstract, it's science. It's there, we're all interconnected, right? Now, here's a funny little story. Some of you may have heard me tell this a little while back, but when I was an undergraduate, and I was in college many, many years ago, I was studying physics, and I loved physics. I really liked it, and I really loved the professor. It was really great. I remember we were studying magnetic fields, and I could not get magnetic fields. I just couldn't understand it. And I remember I wanted to really impress this professor, so I was like, I'm gonna study at the library, I'm gonna get this thing. And I remember staring at the first 2 pages of this, and reading it over and over of this textbook and just not sinking in. And I literally was in tears because I consider myself a pretty smart person. I usually can get things. And I knew my professor had office hours that afternoon, so I went to him frustrated and in tears, and I was like, please, professor, help me understand. I don't understand. What are magnetic fields? And he looked at me and he said, well, Sean, if you know that, you've got the next Nobel Prize in physics. I was like, what? And he says, we just know what they do. We don't know what they are. I was like, okay. And I realized that that's kind of like God to me, right? I don't know what it is. I just know what it does. And to me, that is love. It's that creative energy that we are all a part of, that connects all of us, like all of these different connections here. You know, the scientist and the mystic, I do not know what you mean by the word God, but I do know that this world is more mysterious, more wonderful than I could ever imagine. I know that you and I are part of something so much larger than our own lives. I've always defined personally spirituality as connecting to something larger than yourself. And I feel that's true, whether you want to consider that ways of justice in the community, or you want to think about that as connecting to a higher being, whatever that means to you. For me, that's about connecting in love with all of the people. If you were here for process theology a few weeks ago and we talked about that, that's kind of that idea. This idea that we are all connected. You know, here's the thing. To me, science or religion at their best are after the same thing, which is truth. But remember, truth is flowing and ebbing and turns inside out. We all want to understand these mysteries. And the problem with science and religion both is where they go wrong is when they think they have all the answers right now. There was a Pew Research thing that came out earlier this month, and it said that 74% of all people believed in science, and that science, there are some things in science that science couldn't explain. Like, great, okay, I think there are some things that science cannot explain. Like, we don't really know all the mapping of the human brain. We don't know exactly how the mycelium network works. We don't know what the heck is dark matter. Nobody knows, we just know what it does, right? Like, there's all these things we don't necessarily know. But then I thought, well, there's 26% of the people out there that believes that actually science has all the answers right now. And that kind of makes me sad, because then where's the mystery? I do think, my personal opinion is that sometime, probably, somewhere in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years from now, science will explain everything. Science may explain God, may explain this idea of love, and maybe religion and science will then merge in some beautiful kind of way. But for right now, so much of religion has done harm, right? Most of you know about the Jefferson Bible. So Jefferson was a man of reason, and he comes from the Enlightenment. And so he literally went through the Bible and he snipped out all of the miracles. And he just wanted a book that was about the morals that Jesus taught, which is kind of actually a lovely idea in some ways. Well, like, okay. He was uncomfortable with this idea of miracles. And I think sometimes we are too, but I think sometimes it's just a matter of like, oh, isn't that an interesting mystery? Maybe we don't know. And can that be okay? Because our truth is just a pinprick. We're still learning, we're still growing, we're still becoming and evolving. We come into this time of year with Christmas and all of these interesting miracles that were supposed to happen, right? And I think it's fairly safe to say that the vast majority of Unitarian Universalists don't necessarily believe in the miracles of Christmas, that there were wise men that came and followed a star and, all of those types of things. And like, okay, but you ever noticed how you use love to belt out carols? Like, we love our Christmas carols. We love them on Christmas Eve, and even when we're singing "Joy to the world, the Lord has come," even though we don't believe necessarily in that theology, we're still belting it out. And I think it's because we remember that time in our lives when we were younger, when we felt the love of that sense of joy and happiness that came at this time of year, that connection to that vastness of love. I think that's why we love those carols. Remember, truth is but a pinprick. So let's not lock God in a cage with our little beliefs and religions. I don't have the answers to all of life's questions like, does God exist, or what happens when we die? But I do think there are two truths that I personally believe as two truths. One is, as I said, our truths are a pinprick. We don't know it all. No, we probably won't know it all in our lifetime, or even our children's lifetime. And it's humbling to think that. And boy, could our humanity use some humbling. And the second thing is that I believe deeply that there is a love that is holding us, that's there with us, an omnipresence of love. Now you can call that God, you can call it spirit, you can call it community. Maybe it's just the warriors and the celebrators of your life that hold you. But either way, I believe that we are all loved. I want to end with this poem by Mary Oliver, who says it really well. She says, she's that wonderful mystical and scientific poet. She says, "Truly we live with mysteries too marvelous to be understood. How grass can be nourished in the mouths of lambs. How rivers and stones are forever in allegiance with gravity, while we ourselves dream of rising. How two hands touch and the bonds will never be broken. How people come from delight or the scars of damage to the comfort of a poem. Let me keep my distance always from those who think they have the answers. Let me keep company always with those who say, "Look," and laugh in astonishment, and then bow their heads. Let us sing.
Please rise in body or spirit. Touch the earth, reach the sky, walk on shores while spirits fly, over the ocean, over the land, our faith a quest to understand. Touch the earth, reach the sky, children ask the reason why. In our lives the answers show, and by our love they learn and grow. Touch the earth, reach the sky, all are born and all shall die. Life's the time left in between, to follow a star, to build a dream. Touch the earth, reach the sky, hug the laughter, feel the cry. May we see where we can give, for this is what it means to live. Touch the earth, reach the sky, soar with courage ever high. Spirits joining as we fly, to touch the earth, to reach the sky.
Unitarian Universal congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all the funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing half of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. This month, we are sharing our plate with SOS, Share Ourselves. Share Ourselves is a federally qualified health clinic with locations throughout Orange County. They believe in personalized care to deliver quality services, improve population health and stability, and reduce costs. There are multiple ways in which you can support our church and this organization. You can mail a check, you can go through our website, or you can use the app called Banco Mobile. It's all up there. If you're a roomer, you can also simply use the basket as it is passed. The choice is yours. All the information is on the website, should you need it. As always, thank you for your generosity.
Everybody's wondering about where and when they all came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say once you're gone forever. Some say you're gonna come back. Some say you rest in the arms of the Savior if sinful ways you lack. Some say they're coming back in the garden, bunch of carrots and little sweet peas. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody's wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they're going to a place called glory. I ain't saying it ain't a fact, but I heard I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. I believe in love, and I live my life accordingly, and I choose to let the mystery be. Everybody's wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, and it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Think I'll just let the mystery be.
So please join us in singing We Gather Together, a song that puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts that we share.
We gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
And now is that time when we honor the important events and people in our lives, and you are invited, one and all, whether you're a member, a friend, a visitor, to participate in this weekly ritual that we call Joys and Sorrows. And the basics of it is to simply come forward and light a candle to honor that joy or sorrow. And if you would like to share that with the congregation, you can write it on a slip of paper and hand it to me as you come forward to light your candle. Zoomers, you can write it in the chat. And then I believe Marilyn is our wonderful pastoral care associate who's going to help light. She will then light candles for you. So I want to invite you to come on forward and hand me their joys and sorrows. Once we have them, I'll read those online out loud first, and then the ones in person. Actually, I'm going to read those in person here first, and then we'll read those online. So Jennifer D. lit a candle of joy because she says, I'm so joyful to join this wonderful community of love today. Yay. So welcome, Jennifer. She signed the book this morning. She's now a member of the congregation. And Lori M., one of our resident artists, she says, I want to thank OCUUC for providing me to have a solo exhibit of her art quilts. She says, I want to especially thank Linda Sperry and Melanie M. for their wonderful job they did hanging the quilts. So if you didn't know about these wonderful quilts, they're in the foyer, and I want to invite you all to go there, because we won't be able to do it on Christmas Eve because there's going to be another church in there. So go check it out today. These quilts are amazing. I never thought that quilts, I mean, my sister's a quilter, right? But she does the traditional quilts. This is quilt art, using fabric as art. It's really cool. So, and this is Lori over here in the blue. And Dave C., he lit a candle of celebration because his son Eric, who's also a reverend, has been accepted into the Garrett Seminary at Northwestern for a doctorate of divinity. It's called Leadership and Societal Transformation. Ooh. I am a master of divinity, but he's going to be a doctor of divinity. I love it. All right. Francie C., she lit a candle of joy. She said her daughter Sabrina and her grandchildren Sierra and Justin will be home here for Christmas. Yay. She says they live in Michigan, so it's the first time in decades. And a grandchild, Ryan, will be in Texas for Cotton Ball, cheering Ohio State where he works. She's very happy for all of them. That's awesome. And Julie C. is asked for a candle of hope. She's lit a candle of hope for positive energy and thoughts, vibes sent her way. So let's send Julie some positive thoughts and energy. And Tom L. lit a candle of sorrow. He says, my mother is in home hospice with my sister and our daughter at her side. The hospice nurse tells us she's on her last few days. She is quiet and comfortable as she waits for the end. She is in my thoughts every day, and I'm happy she is with family. Yeah. And online, so Denny M. would like to light a candle for Ed K. And most of you know Ed Carrata. Some of you know him. He is in hospice right now. If you could hold Ed and his wife Frances in your heart. And Linda C. also wrote, she says, please hold my dear, dear daughter, Valerie, in your hearts yet again. She's still struggling. So let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness. And oops, I forgot a couple. I'm sorry. Before we do that. So Dolly D., you all know Dolly. She has both a joy and a sorrow. She says her joy is that today I shall embark on my 84th year of life. That is, she's turning 83. She's embarking on their 84th day of life. She says, you got that? And her sorrow, however, is that today I'm turning 83 years of age. So, and then we have one more here as well from Linda C. She says, please light a candle of celebration for our grandson, Kenny, who graduated yesterday from the University of Hawaii. Wow, congratulations. All right, now let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, whether they were spoken or silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and let our sorrows remind us to connect with one another. Let all these moments, let them all remind us that we are not alone. Please join Marilyn in a spirit of prayer.
This is Teach Us to Look for You, and it was adapted by Father Austin Fleming. Sweet mystery. Teach us to look for you in places we would not expect to find you. Help us to see you in every guest we entertain. Let the beauty of any bloom reveal your presence to us. Let every bird who wings across the sky above remind us of the freedom that is ours. Let every star in the heavens be a light in the darkness of our lonely nights. Teach us to find you in every place we look, including within ourselves. Amen.
So let's join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice, and let's say this together. We extinguish our chalice of the truth, the warmth of community, these we carry in our hearts until we are together again. So thank you all for joining us this morning, and Zoomers too. We're a congregation made up of people who all believe differently. And yet, when we gather together, whether we're in the room or on Zoom, we make up one loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. If you're a guest or a visitor or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become part of our beloved community. We encourage you to either write in the chat if you're a Zoomer, or if you're a roomer, just stand for a brief moment and tell us your name and where you're from. We will bring a microphone over and hold it for you so that our Zoomers can hear you too. Are there any guests in the room who want to introduce themselves? We've got a microphone for you. Okay. So for those of you who are willing and are coming to the Christmas Eve service next Sunday, we'd love to have more poinsettias to decorate our beautiful church. And then remember that when you leave, to take your poinsettia home with you, okay? So if you'd like to know more about our church, including programming for our youth and children, please contact us at hello, and we will help you get connected. In addition, we invite you to sign up for our weekly email called The Blast, and it's at Blast in our website there. We want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community. So please reach out, and we'll help you get connected.
All right, last minute announcements. You heard about Lori, her exhibit, so I want to invite you afterwards to grab a coffee and go into the foyer and see her wonderful, beautiful quilts. The other thing I also want to warn you, because I think it comes out this time of year in particular, the scammers are in full swing. Most of you have been warned, but for those of you who might be new, scammers send out emails and text purporting to be me, asking for gift cards or something, right? Note that I will never do that. I have a discretionary fund that I can draw upon just fine. And if I call you or something like that, something very specific, and I probably won't say something like "God bless you" in the email. So just so you know. Yeah, there are ways to figure it out that it's not me. And if it pops up, it's a number you don't know and you have my cell phone number, then yeah, don't worry about it. So the other thing I just want to keep reminding people, next Sunday, no morning service, only evening service for the Christmas Eve. We switch with the Apostolic Church that rents from us on Sunday evenings. They really like to do Christmas Eve in the morning, and we like to do Christmas Eve in the evening. So we're switching it for this coming Sunday. So if you show up here in the morning, you could have a really interesting service. It's in Spanish, but I think that could be right. It could be really an interesting ecumenical experience. So there you go. That's basically it. I want to leave you with this quote by Albert Einstein, that scientist, and quite frankly, I think he's a mystic. He said, "There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle." May you have a miraculous week. Please join in singing our benediction.
Let us go out and all do our part. Let us go out, bring joy to each heart. Let us go out with indifference destroy. Let us go out with joy. Let us go out and all do our part. Let us go out, bring joy to each heart. Let us go out with indifference destroyed. Let us go out with joy. Let
service is over. Let our service continue.